In the world of today's modern gaming industry, nothing is sacred, especially when it comes to being involved with Sweet Baby Inc. And historically, being involved with that company can net you all kinds of negative consequences, ranging from financial failure to negative PR that reaches insurmountable heights. And this usually comes after calling innocent people ists and phobes and trying to get them canceled, aka former Sweet Baby Inc. employees. But the story that I'm about to show you presents a very fascinating dichotomy, creating a division. Basically shows that not everybody who works with SBI is happy about it, and not everyone is willing to defend them when it comes down to it. And it looks like some of these developers are finally starting to speak out against Sweet Baby Inc. by reaching out to people like Grums, who actually care about the gaming industry, normal everyday people who are willing to do research and share their information. Cabrutus especially spearheading this movement. As he says here, "Hey guys, I added another game to my curator list. The game is called Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn." So this is some kind of pirate game from what I've been looking at. And as shown in this physical copy of the Edge magazine, it involves Kim Belair from Sweet Baby Inc. CEO. That name is notorious now. Kim Belair, you know who is involved. I have waited a bit before deciding to add this one because a dev from Flintlock team reached to me through my mail stating that they eradicated the SBI part and basically remade it completely. So I have no idea if this was said to Cabrutus because they were panicking because he was talking about it, or because they see what's going on with Sweet Baby Inc. and they decided that they needed to do the right thing and talk about it. But in this photo, it shows right here that Kim Belair, right where my invisible mouse is, there she is, involved, the Montreal-based narrative director who has advocated for better representation in stories as a means of bringing new and exciting ideas to games. Quote, "She took the wonderful base layer Derek had, the world, and just elevated it." So what is this in reference to? Well, if you read on just a little bit more past the highlighted area, it says Tops Haro says, okay, so Tops Haro is the COO of this developer. So you're going to hear a lot about her in this video. Quote, "You know the difference when there's a person who's reflecting at you and it's true. There's a certain truth that resonates that can't be faked. I know some people won't notice, but the people who are attuned to that, they'll get it immediately. Tops Haro feels connected to Nor as a protagonist. Being a black woman in the world, things never really came easy for me," she says. "Even in a space where there's only 2% black developers working in the industry, I always have to constantly prove myself again." So she's saying that she has to prove herself in the gaming industry because she's a black woman. Well, let's look at A44 Games, Flintlock, all right? I actually know this developer. I've played and enjoyed one of their games, which is a personal favorite of mine. So if you guys know the Dark Souls series, all right, I love FromSoft. Anybody who knows who I am knows that I play the crap out of Souls games, all right? Elden Ring, I've clocked in maybe almost 800 hours. Bloodborne, 1,500 hours. You name it. Any Souls game, I play them. And one thing that I especially love is Souls-likes. Well, if you look right here, Ashen was a game that A44 Games created. And this was one of the first Souls-likes of its kind. This is when Dark Souls was becoming really popular. The formula in particular, the gameplay formula. So people were really trying to nail that formula in their own games and take on the idea for themselves. And Ashen was one of those co-op Souls-like games, and it was a lot of fun. So they tried to make a new game called Flintlock, and this is on their page, official account of A44 Games, developers of Ashen and upcoming title Play Flintlock. So they're in Wellington, New Zealand. All right, but their last post, and this is a pinned post, it's actually kind of insane. It was in March 15, 2022. How many years ago was that? Do the math. Okay, so they haven't updated their game since then. They've been silent. But now that they're reaching out to people like Grums and Cabrutus, more facts are coming out about this company. There's a lot of information to cover here. Proof Sweet Baby Inc. ruins games. SBI game Flintlock by A44 Games has been overrun by woke. Quote, "I used to work there. Flintlock was a good project with lots of potential. Then it was ruined." So Grums is saying that he is in contact with somebody that is on the inside. Now, he does say, before I go further, please note this is a rumor from a source that seems very knowledgeable about the studio's inner workings. Take that as it is. And that's why I kind of waited on making a video about this. But wouldn't you believe it? There was actually a response to this thread, which means that there is validity to it. But we're going to read the post, and then we're going to figure out how deep the rabbit hole goes with Sweet Baby Inc. and how disastrous their involvement was for this game for this company that, by all accounts, has really good track history of video games. Ashen was a great game. I mean, it was a watered-down version of a Souls-like combat formula, but it was a very enjoyable game, especially when you were playing it with a friend. But he says here, the CEO and COO at A44 are no longer with the company, but the damage seems to have been done. The good devs at A44, I tell you how to fix it at the end of this thread. Before we do that, I want to show you this picture that Grums also provided. When Kerbrutus asks them to prove that they removed SPI from their game, they actively refuse to talk to him. I believe he had them on a podcast or he just had a private conversation. I can't recall. But if you look at this picture right here, you see the COO in the top left-hand corner, Adria Tops-Haro, right? COO at A44. What I found interesting, and this is going to be talked out in just a minute, she's the founder of a company called Inclusion FX. So this is her company. We're going to learn more about this and what it has to do with A44 games, because this is going to shock you. But the very fact that they're naming these things after the things that they've parrot for, like diversity, equity, inclusion, they just call it Inclusion FX, that's a red flag to me. That's a big problem. But check this out right here. Did you know the protagonist of Flintlock used to be white? When COO and casting director Andrea Tops-Haro joined the studio, her first actions, okay, the very first thing she did was to hire Sweet Baby Inc. and change the main character to a POC. Now, if you just listened a minute ago, she was bragging about the character in that news interview article that we were reading, where she's like, I'm just so proud of this character, and as a black woman, I mean, this is her achievement. This is her greatest achievement in this company. Well, allegedly. It says this marked the beginnings of the problems with the game and studio. It's just the beginning. Adria Tops-Haro is rumored to have used the company's funds and manpower to power her personal agenda and projects on initiatives not related to the game or even the studio itself. One such initiative that I found is Inclusion FX, a VFX company and advocacy company with shades of Sweet Baby Inc. Here is the bio from the company. She held this position at Flintlock at the same time she ran Inclusion FX. So while she was working for A44 Games, she also had this company on the side that she was slowly growing. I assume that she wasn't telling people about it. But Grums asked and confirmed, quote, yeah, I have witnessed our UI artists making art assets for this website as their sprint tasks. So what does that mean exactly? It means that while she was working for A44 Games, Adria Tops-Haro was stealing artists from the company and using their skills to make assets for her company that she was running on the side. So she was embezzling funds, stealing artists, stealing developers from the company that she was the COO of. It was completely unrelated. What does it say here? Adria Tops-Haro, producer and Inclusion FX founder. She worked in the entertainment industry for almost 30 years. She's worked for Sony Pictures, Contact and Starship Troopers. That's actually kind of insane. X-Men 2, Medal of Honor, Planet of the Apes, Hobbit, Avatar sequels. She produced 3 independent films, Secrets, All In, The Available Wife, never heard of them, and served as Mind and Machine's VFX producer on Ridley Scott's Raised by Wolves. So she's been in the industry a long time, but her ideas seem to be all messed up because she served as the COO at A44 Games, says right here, Flintlock in Wellington, New Zealand, and while there, founded Inclusion FX, which is a platform designed to support and amplify underrepresented voices in the VFX for features, television, and games industries. Adria continues her work with IFX while producing independent feature films and now resides in Washington, D.C. Of course you're in DC. Why wouldn't you be in DC? That's actually amazing. Okay, so what is this about? Inclusion FX is a platform designed to support and amplify blah, blah, blah. We already read that. What's the strength? It says our goal is to give the next generation access to role models by sharing the hero's journey, okay, of a diverse range of professionals. Our team are uniquely positioned to unite the voices of giants in the VFX and games industries and present their perspectives as a united group of heroes the next generation can look up to. So it's all about inviting individuals from traditionally underrepresented backgrounds, from all aspects of visual effects, because as she claims, she's always had to prove herself as a black woman. And I guess the best way that she has proven how reliable she is by stealing money and resources from A44 Games while she's working on those games with them. Hiring Sweet Baby Inc., from what I understand, was this woman's idea. And because of it, this game has been effectively, put on the shelf indefinitely. There hasn't been an update about this game since. But he says, aside from working with Sweet Baby Inc. and making changes to the game, Adria also directed numerous changes in HR in her role as COO. So she was changing how HR operated. In 2021, most developers were denied raises. She said no raises Evaluations were postponed for at least 6 months, and this woman was a tyrant. Audrea told HR to inform anyone who complained or asked questions that the reason is because I said so. She also ordered the HR department to hide the salaries of the top execs of the company. What? What? So she was hiding salaries of the execs. Oh man, I can only imagine how high those salaries were. HR tried to help, but were unable to get past this. The team was worried about the studio finances. Meanwhile, the new hires and changes to the game resulted in a project where, quote, these people know nothing about how a video game is made. What does that even mean? After nearly 2 years of these DEI changes at A44, so this happened for 2 years, the damage had been done. At this point, the studio was purchased for $175 million, an unusually high sum for a small studio, by the way, by Kepler Interactive in September of 2021, a gaming collective fund whose founder also founded the Kowloon Knights Gaming Fund. And I actually have that page pulled up, so we'll take a look at that really quick. It was at this point that Audrea, the COO, left the company. So she did a whole bunch of damage, embezzled funds, stole resources, made her own company, and grew it from within without people knowing about it, hid salaries that she was getting paid and the other execs were getting paid, didn't let anybody get a raise, postpones evaluations for 6 months, so they couldn't even have the chance to make the argument for themselves to get paid more. And then she just left the company after screwing everything up. She hired Sweet Baby Inc. They changed the race of the character. They made a whole bunch of changes within the company itself, and then she's like, "See ya." That's insane, man. The state of the game is unknown at this time, but is believed to be in shambles after this 2-year round of DEI changes. Well, if you saw on their page, they haven't updated that in like a couple of years. It's been 2 years, right? As we now know, A44 reached out to Cabrutus to refute SBI's involvement, saying they are no longer involved and all their changes reversed. But when Cabrutus asked for proof, they refused to speak to him any further. So they refused to speak to him. That's actually a red flag to me. I'm sure that's a red flag to a lot of other people. And what is Kepler Interactive? Well, it's a major global publisher co-owned and run by devs. We give studios the creative independence to do what they do best, make awesome games. Okay, so they're a global publisher, which means they're funding A44 games. They purchase them, they give them the money for it. But there's just one problem with this. Here's an update from Grums, from the person who is an ops manager for Kepler, LyCK, the studio that purchased A44 Games. She's not happy with Grums breaking the story on Flintlock. She ain't happy at all. A quick review of her homepage shows funding sources woke. Seems they won't be taking my advice or be honest with Cabrutus Rambo about SBI involvement in her game. That's too bad. That was money advice. I agree. And let's see what her post says. Absolutely fuming, vibrating off the effing plane of reality. This piss weak pseudo journalism that the far right GG, is that what we are? Far right are taking is so vile, incredible to see in real time and closer to home how wrong Grums is and how damaging he and his weird troop are. Grums is a normal guy. He's just a normal guy. But let's see what this person who was saying these awful things in this post is about. Good day, I'm lyCK, a video game producer by trade with a particular love for building and leading happy and engaged teams. Yeah, she seems like such a happy-go-lucky ray of sunshine. And she's been in the system for a while too. Girl Geek Academy, Kepler Interactive, Kowloon Knights, League of Geeks. That's insane. All these people, they love to pretend that they're professional, but then they're not professional. So now the idea that SBI has been removed from this game completely is starting to look a little bit unbelievable, because now we have Kepler Interactive, who own A44 Games, trying to smear Grums, make him look like he's just a poison on the industry. And then it gets even worse. It just never stops. You know, my friend Nerdporial was telling me the other day that this whole situation is a gift that just keeps on giving, because these people just won't stop trying to attack when they're confronted with these facts. Flintlock funding ops manager, same person we were just talking about, is now claiming harassment after she had a meltdown over my story on the funding wokeness ruining the studio from Grums. Poor Grums, man. He's always getting the business from these people. She went protected immediately, which is not a surprise. That's pretty much what everyone in Sweet Baby Inc. has been doing. Protecting themselves, all the journalists protecting their tweets, blocking people, blocking me specifically. So how could she have received any harassment? I mean, if she did protect her tweets, where's the harassment coming from? More lies. Note she linked to Think This, the government-funded campaign against gamers. I've actually been reading into this, and I wanted to do a video about it soon, but the government is involved. Homeland Security, I mean, this thing goes, it goes deeper than any of us could ever have possibly imagined. And there she is. Poster protected. Thanks for clicking. Here's a good resource. Okay, game developer joined in March. So these posts are protected. She said in preservation mode due to targeted online harassment. Okay, I don't think that's how you spell harassment correctly, by the way. I think there's Yeah, no, that's that's a butchering of the English language right there. I don't know why that bothers me so much, but it does. If you want to reach out, please use regular channels. If you're experiencing online harassment, please review. Take this as amazing resource here. I'm not going to click on any kind of resource, but I will say this. These people are in panic mode. I think just from you guys watching, from me reporting, there is serious panic going on, and game developers are now starting to speak out against this. Not everybody wants their games ruined by SBI, and it is clear that A44 Games had some really good potential with this video game. I know that they've had a great track record. Ashen was a great game, one of my favorites. It definitely kicked off, or at least helped kick off, the movement of games being developed by other developers inspired by the Souls games. You know, there was a huge deal. I mean, it was pretty groundbreaking in terms of Souls-like games. I mean, it's a Souls-like, so it's like Dark Souls, but it kicked off a really cool movement, and it opened the door for a lot of developers to create their own version of what Souls games could be like. And that is why I take such personal offense to this entire situation, that this person went into this company who's been in the industry for 30 years. Who knows how she has interacted with other developers and other games and movies that she's worked with, but she basically destroyed it from the inside, stole from the company, and then she left. Now, who knows if this game is going to be made? Who knows if Cabrutus is going to keep the game up on his curator list? I know that a lot of it depends on if they come out and finally tell the truth and reveal if SBI is truly involved or not. But if they're not saying anything about it, then that might mean that SBI is still involved. I mean, look who they're owned by, Kepler Interactive. And the ops manager there is going on a screaming spree. Kind of like the people at GDC do. They stand out in the field and go on screaming sprees, yelling at gamers, because gamers are the enemy and always have been. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't had the chance to like this video and share it with your friends, that would be awesome. And hey, if you're feeling ultra spicy, consider subscribing to my channel so that you're always up to date on what kind of thing I've got going on. I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Later. Meow, meow.